Weaver.
Superintendent Spearman has taken over 3 school districts in her tenure and put at least another one on watch. Do you think failing school districts should be taken over? Are you willing to take on that responsibility? Is there something else we should be doing?
Well, state law clearly prescribes the conditions under which school takeovers or district takeovers are necessary. And I certainly think, again, this comes back to doing what is in the best interest of students. In many of these districts that Superintendent Spearman has had to go into, we know that the large proportion of their education funding actually comes from the state because they have a low index of tax-paying ability. And so I believe with that additional state input and resources comes responsibility for what happens in those school districts, especially when it comes to the academic outcomes of children. And so I think Superintendent Spearman has been very judicious in her use of the takeover power. I think that it should always be the option of last resort. And I think that when it does happen, we need to ensure that we have a high caliber plan in place to turn around these districts for the long term and not just drop in for a few years and then turn it back over to leadership that was failing the students in the first place.
I think that, it's important for us to understand why school districts are being taken over, and the superintendent should look very carefully at the reasons. If we're looking at it from, a academic standpoint, I want to be sure that the measurements that we're using to determine the academic standing of those students is a valid measurement. I don't think that you can say that when you look at how we assess our students in South Carolina. I think that if we're looking at it from a financial aspect, absolutely. School districts need to be held accountable and be transparent. Anyone who receives public money should be held to accountability and transparency standards. So I think that that is very important. And I think that there needs to be a plan going in place, but I think it needs to be involving those families, those students, those teachers that are involved in those school districts, instead of the superintendent or the superintendent's team coming in and saying, this is what we're going to do. In order to fix problems, you've got to understand what the problems are. And the people that understand what the problems are the ones in those school districts and understand that community, understand what those students are dealing with. So I think that in the case of that being taken over, you've got to be willing to have those conversations at that local level to understand truly what is going on.